All right, strap in, everybody. We're going deep today. We're talking about good omens.
Oh, good omens.
Yeah, that wonderfully weird story of angels and demons and, the apocalypse. We've got
Right.
some excerpts from the book itself. And, well, let's just say things are going to get a little strange. You think you know what to expect at the end of the world. Think again.
What I think is so interesting about good omens is that it takes this huge event, right? This
Yeah.
apocalyptic event, and it infuses it with this very dry British humor that makes you
Yeah.
laugh,
Yeah.
even as the world's ending.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of unexpected, pairs, we've got Crowley the demon
Yeah.
and Aziraphale the angel.
Right.
I mean, we've got a demon who loves classic cars,
And quotes
who
Italian.
quotes Italian,
Yeah.
and an angel who's obsessed with rare books. I mean, come on. These guys are supposed to be enemies.
Yeah, you'd think, right?
Right.
But, they've both been on Earth since the beginning.
Yeah.
Since the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
They've seen it all. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. They've seen all the quirks of humanity. And I think somewhere along the way, they kind of developed a fondness for us.
Yeah. For us and our, little eccentricity.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, but here's the thing that really kind of blows my mind. They're not just observing, they're actually trying to influence things.
Oh, yeah.
They're subtly nudging events
Mm-hmm.
to try to delay or even prevent the apocalypse altogether. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it really throws a wrench in the whole good versus evil thing, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, their fondness for humanity, it's not just a funny quirk. It's like it really challenges the roles they're supposed to play.
Yeah.
Like the roles that heaven and hell have given them. It suggests that, even these celestial beings, they can develop empathy. And they can appreciate how complex human existence is.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, hey, maybe humans aren't so bad after all.
Right. Exactly. At least they're entertaining.
At least they're interesting.
Yeah. And their methods are so subtle. Crowley, with his, carefully placed temptations.
Yeah.
And Aziraphale, with his strategically lost prophecies.
Right.
It's like a big cosmic game of chess.
Totally.
And they're playing to win a different game than heaven or hell want them to.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned prophecies. We got to talk about Agnes Nutter, the witch who predicted it all, centuries ago.
Oh, yeah.
In her book, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies.
That's right.
She's the only one who got it right.
Mm-hmm.
But, nobody pays attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Agnes Nutter is, she's fascinating. She represents this idea that the truth is out there, it's hidden in plain sight, but we just ignore it.
Yeah.
And her ancestor was burned at the stake for seeking out. And there's this sense that her whole family line, they've always been at odds with those in power.
Yeah. And isn't it ironic that Aziraphale, this angel who loves books more than anything,
Right.
manages to get a copy of Agnes's prophecies, and he treats it like it's a sacred text.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He won't even sell it, even when someone offers him a ton of money.
He knows how important it is, even if other people don't.
Yeah.
And it's through Agnes's prophecies that we learn about the Antichrist,
Right.
Adam, who just seems like an ordinary 11-year-old kid,
Yeah.
living in a quiet village
Mm.
with his friends.
Them.
Them. Now, there is a force of nature. They have no clue about their role in the coming apocalypse. They're too busy, running their own version of the Spanish Inquisition.
Right.
Debating, what witches and devils are really like.
Right.
And kind of accidentally causing these plagues of flesh-eating maggots.
It's brilliant how the authors use these little kid activities to show what's happening in the world as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Their misconceptions, the way they try to understand the world, it ends up affecting, global events in ways they could never imagine.
Like that scene where Adam wishes for a dog and then this terrifying hellhound shows up.
Right.
But then it just magically transforms into this little goofy mutt.
Right in front of them.
Right in front of them.
Yeah.
Or when Pipper, fueled by her mom's, feminist lectures, suggests that witches were just, protesting against injustice in society.
Yeah. It's the lines between reality and their imagination are blurred. And Adam, without even knowing it, is shaping the world with his kid thoughts.
It's terrifying and hilarious at the same time.
Oh, it is. It is.
But it makes you think,
Yeah.
like how much what we believe is shaped by, What we hear, what we read, what we see.
Yeah, yeah.
How much control do we really have over our lives, over our destinies?
It's a question worth asking, especially in a world where information and misinformation can spread so fast.
You know, speaking of spreading, things are about to get a whole lot more chaotic.
Oh.
Because the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are coming, and they're not on horses anymore. They've upgraded.
They've got motorcycles.
They've got motorcycles.
And they've got an entourage.
Oh, yeah.
This group of Hell's Angels who have no idea what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, they're arguing about who gets to be which horseman. They're complaining about snacks.
Yeah, it's like they're on a road trip.
It's like a road trip, not the end of the world.
Well, think about it. War isn't just, about battles anymore. It's about information. It's about the economy.
Right.
And pollution. Well, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's obvious. The horsemen have been updated, to reflect what we're afraid of today.
Okay, so we've got angels and demons trying to save the world. We've got the Antichrist shaping reality with, his little kid fantasies. We've got the 4 horsemen on motorcycles with these clueless bikers. So where do we go from here?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. We've got a lost continent that's about to reappear.
Oh, wow.
We've got a mysterious woman with a very powerful sword.
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
And a missing book of prophecies. That could change everything.
Oh, this is getting good. I have a feeling it's just going to get weirder from here.
Oh, yeah.
Buckle up, everyone. We're just getting started.
And those prophecies we were talking about? Well, they're not just vague warnings.
Mm-hmm.
They actually get pretty specific.
Oh, yeah. Agnes Nutter did not hold back on the details.
Oh, no, she did not.
She even predicted that Atlantis would reappear, and it would cause a cruise ship to run aground.
Yes. And it's the way it happens. It's just classic good omens.
Okay, tell me.
The captain of the ship, he sends out this distress signal using, international maritime codes, saying, I found Atlantis and the high priest just won a quoits contest.
Wait, a quoits contest? That's what he's worried about. He just found a lost city, and he's like, oh, but this quoits contest.
It's that mix of the ordinary and the extraordinary. It's what Gaiman and Pratchett do so well. Yeah. They take these, huge world-changing events and they filter them through this lens of human ridiculousness.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's not just Atlantis. Remember that mysterious woman, Red?
Oh, yes, Red.
With that really menacing sword.
Oh, yeah. She's a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All these different groups trying to get her on their side. But it seems like she's got her own plan.
It's clear that she's going to be important to, how everything plays out.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't really know what her motives are.
No doubt.
Is she good? Is she bad? Is she something else entirely?
That's the best part. We don't know. She could disrupt everything, heaven and hell both. She's a wild card.
She makes things even more unpredictable. Speaking of unpredictable, we can't forget anathema device.
Oh, yes, the witch.
The witch who inherited Agnes Nutter's book of prophecies. She's trying to use it to figure out, maybe even stop the apocalypse.
Right.
But there's just one problem.
What's that?
She lost the book.
Oh, no.
And she thinks that maybe 2 bicycle repairmen might have picked it up.
Oh, that's just adding to the chaos.
Oh, it's a race against time. And the stakes are high. It's almost like both heaven and hell are totally unprepared for how ridiculous this is all getting.
Right.
They've got their plans and their prophecies, but they forgot about one thing: humans.
They did.
And their free will.
Yeah.
And our tendency to just muck things up.
Yes, and that is nowhere more clear than with Adam and the them.
Oh, right.
Adam's powers are growing, and he's starting to realize that he can change things with his mind.
Right.
He tells his friends that they can make the world however they want, get rid of the bad stuff, and start over.
Wow.
But the them aren't so sure. They know there's a difference between what's real and what's pretend. And they're not sure they want to live in a world where those lines are blurred.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's an important point. What is free will? And what happens when you have too much power? Adam is the Antichrist.
Right.
But he's still a kid. He's figuring out his powers, but he doesn't understand what they can really do.
And while this is happening, Crowley is having a meltdown trying to deal with the Witchfinder army.
Oh, yeah. How's that going?
He's stuck with this receptionist. She's totally incompetent.
Oh, no.
She's more interested in gossiping than, the end of the world.
Right.
It's almost funny how these powerful forces are always being messed up by humans and their, incompetence.
It's like the authors are making fun of the people who think they're in control.
Totally.
The institutions, the systems. It's satire.
So we've got global chaos prophecies being lost and found, and the Antichrist learning how to use his powers. I can't wait to see what happens next. So what about the final showdown? What can you tell us?
Well, it all comes down to an American airbase. That's where the Horsemen are going to set their part of the plan in motion.
Okay.
But even then, things don't go quite as anyone expects.
Okay, you got to give me more than that. What happens at the airbase?
Let's just say you'll see heaven and hell clash.
Uh-huh.
You'll see some unexpected team-ups.
Okay.
And there's a twist. They'll make you question everything you thought you knew about good and evil.
Yeah.
And the fate of humanity.
Oh, man, you're killing me with the suspense. All right, let's get to the final part of our deep dive and find out what happens. All right, we're back, and I got to say, I'm really curious to see what happens next. We left off with the Horsemen getting to the airbase, ready to kick off the apocalypse. But you were saying things don't go exactly as planned. What did you mean?
Well, picture this. You've got the four horsemen, these legendary figures of destruction, standing around on this military base, fiddling with wires and buttons, trying to figure out how to launch these nuclear missiles. I mean, it's not exactly the epic showdown you might expect.
Wait, seriously? They're basically like glorified tech support at this point.
It's the authors, once again, they're messing with us. They take these symbols of ultimate power, and they turn them into these bumbling figures struggling with modern technology, and their reactions are just priceless.
Okay, I gotta know, what are these horsemen like when they're faced with modern warfare?
Oh, for example, she's really disappointed.
Yeah.
She misses the old days, swords and shields, glorious charges, and pollution. Well, he's absolutely thrilled by the whole thing, all that potential for environmental damage.
Yeah.
And famine. He's mostly just annoyed by all the alarms and flashing lights.
It's like they're all experiencing this huge event through their own, human perspectives. It's hilarious, but also kind of relatable.
And then you've got Death. He's just silently watching everything. This imposing figure who's above it all. The only one who really seems to get how serious it all is.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you've got Adam and them. They're riding their bikes towards the airbase. They have no clue what's about to happen.
Right. And in true good Omens fashion, they run into a very ordinary problem along the way.
Oh. What is it this time?
This uptight neighbor, this guy named R.P. Tyler.
Okay.
And he tries to scold them for being out past their bedtime.
Right, hold on. In the middle of all this, apocalyptic drama, they run into like a grumpy neighbor.
That's right. It's perfect. It shows how the authors can mix humor and serious tension. And it's right then that Adam shows just how powerful he's becoming. He shuts Tyler down without even trying. He just subtly changes reality. So Tyler isn't a problem anymore.
It's subtle, but it shows how much influence the Antichrist has. He doesn't even have to try, and he's already shaping the world, to fit his desires. This kid is powerful.
He is. And as Adam and his friends get closer to the airbase, Crowley and Aziraphale are in a race against time to stop the Horsemen from starting a nuclear war. They get to the base ready to face heaven and hell.
Okay, so this is it. This is the final showdown. Good versus evil, angels versus demons, everything's on the line. So what happens? Does a big cosmic battle erupt? Does the world shake?
Well, not quite. Something unexpected happens. Adam, the Antichrist, he chooses to reject his destiny.
What?
He realizes that he doesn't want to destroy the world. He wants to save it.
Wow, that's a huge twist. So the Antichrist becomes the savior.
It shows that free will is powerful, even more powerful than destiny or prophecy.
Right.
And in the end, he follows his heart. He does what he thinks is right.
So he uses his powers to stop the apocalypse, to put everything back the way it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He brings balance back to the world. Like the whole thing never even happened. The horsemen are sent back where they came from. The angels and demons go back to heaven and hell. And humanity, well, they just keep going. Like nothing happened.
That's a pretty hopeful ending, especially after everything we've talked about.
It is. It reminds us that even when things seem really bad, There's always hope. There's always choice. There's always a chance for things to get better. Good Omens is a story about how strong humanity is, and it reminds us that we can choose our own fate.
And it's all told in this really funny and satirical way. I mean, who knew the apocalypse could be so entertaining?
That's what Gaiman and Pratchett are so good at. They talk about these really big ideas, but they do it in a way that keeps us, laughing and thinking. They remind us that even in dark times, there's always room for laughter, for connection, for a little bit of hope.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything in Good Omens. It's been a wild ride, but I think we've learned a lot about the story and what it means.
And for those of you who haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend it. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you think, and it might even make you feel a bit more optimistic about the future, even if the world is ending.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the weird and wonderful world of Good Omens. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.